Hello everyone, it's the PSG Models again. Welcome to another model review video, and this is another one of the reviews of kits that I do from time to time. Today we've got the PSG Models 176 scale Volvo B8L with Alexander Dennis Enviro 400XLB bodywork, the big triaxle double-decker that was supplied to Lothian buses and to Stagecoach East in about 2019-2020. Also would be ideal if you've got a fictional fleet, making a very nice school bus, that kind of thing. So Lothian bought 78 of them. Some of them were 81-seat airport buses with 52 seats upstairs, 21 seats downstairs. The vast majority of Lothians were 100-seaters, 61 seats upstairs and 39 downstairs. And then Stagecoach East bought, I think about 20 of them actually, but yeah, there's a 98-seater, 61 seats upstairs and 37 downstairs. Counting the seats on this, it's a Stagecoach East one. It's got 61 and 37, but of course you could easily paint it into Lothian livery and nobody would know unless you've got one of those mates who sits and counts the seats inside your model buses, in which case you probably need to look at whether they're worth being friends with. So what you get on the PSG Models is a one-piece resin body shell. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, kits, I can't do one pacer chaser. Well, no, I'm rubbish at kits. White metal ones, certainly, just forget it. But the resin ones are really easy. You just basically shake the box and it puts itself together. Talking of the box, it comes in quite a stout box, which I'll just try and get into shot for you. Just move the bus, there we go. And then the main features inside are the one-piece resin body shell, as I say, and then the interior and the lower and upper deck units, which when it comes are inside it, just for storage, basically. So, a couple of little warnings and things about resin kits before we start. First of all, before you put any paint onto a resin kit, you need to wash the components. When resin kits are being cast, the various substances get onto the resin, and if you just paint it as it is, the paint won't stick to it properly. Now, there are all sorts of videos on the internet about how to clean a resin kit before you paint it, and what I say to most of them is fiddlesticks. I've done a lot of resin kits, including quite a lot of PSG Models ones, and all I do is get some either lukewarm or cold water in the sink with some shower gel in. You could also use washing up liquid, mix it up and then just put the components in, give them a quick rub over, swill them round, etc. and then run them under some either, again, lukewarm or cold water just to rinse all the detergent off. Put them to one side, just leave them to dry by themselves for a day or two, however long it takes. Obviously don't use sort of really warm or hot water because you will distort the resin. The second warning to give is that when you've handled an unpainted resin kit, you need to wash your hands before you have anything to eat. Some of the substances that are left on the resin are toxic, and if you put them in your mouth you make yourself poorly. So again, don't touch your mouth when you've been moving an unpainted resin kit around like I am. First thing to do when you build it is to take off the flash. That's the extra unwanted bits of resin. You can see a little bit in the wheel arch there, the sort of ragged edges, a little bit around the windows. PSG Models are normally pretty good for flash. They tend to retire the moulds before it gets too bad. The older the mould is, the more flash you get on the kit, basically. And as I say, PSG tend to do them. So when you get one that's just been released, it's a brand new mould, there'll be more or less none on one of their kits. This one has got quite a bit, so I'm guessing the mould's coming to the end of its life by the time this one's been produced. But it's not too bad. Small file, bit of sandpaper. Just take it off as needs be. Take your time. And I always do that before I actually wash the components, because then I can just wash off the residue of the flash as well as whatever's on the resin. The detailing is quite good. I'll explain how it goes together in a minute, but obviously you've got all the lights and things. The panels are picked out. The recess for the number plate and the little sort of elliptical recess there, that's part of the styling. The shape there of the side of the destination blind, you know, that little angle back there. All the shape looks very good indeed. These pillars that you can see, the door and window, are not the final ones on the model. Again, I'll explain that in a minute. But yeah, looking round, the level of detail is pretty good, and it will paint up very nicely indeed. The seat units are similarly good. They've got the high back seats. Just be careful when you are washing these. Some of them are sometimes a little bit brittle. You can see there that one, the back of it's a little bit loose. It's absolutely fine, it will stay in position, but obviously don't wash it with too much gusto because it'll snap off and you'll finish up gluing it back on again. And yes, that is the voice of experience. Most of the rest of the components are in a little bag. You've got the driver's seat there, done in resin. You've got the white metal wheels, brass rod axles, and you've got these pipes which are the axle retainers. The retainers glue into the slots there, and then you just put the axles through them. Obviously you need to cut both the retainers and the axles themselves to size. Just sort of measure it up, test it, and then do that. There's also a steering wheel in there. There we are. And that simply slots into a hole. You can see in the driver's dashboard there's a hole. It slots into that, which is not a problem. There is a slight issue with PSG models, which I will explain to you in a moment, but I'll come back to that. Then you've got the glazing unit. All you do on that, quite simply, is cut out the bit of glazing that you want. Just cut around it carefully, and then it just sticks in from the outside. You will notice that the pillars behind are slightly broader than the ones printed on the glazing sheet. So what I always do, the first thing I'll do after I've cleaned the flash off and washed this is I'll paint it. So I'll paint it in its full livery. But as part of that, I will do the window pillars, etc., and the surrounds in black, and the doors as well, so that when you put the glazing on, you can only see black pillars behind, and it just disguises the effect. If you leave them unpainted, you can see the pillars. If you paint them black, you can't. But yeah, all very simple. It goes in from the outside. On this sheet here, you've got the upper deck front window. You might have to put some weight on that when you glue it in, because it does curve back slightly. You've got the rear windows there, upper and lower. And then in a separate bag, you've got a vac-formed windscreen, obviously, for there, and you've got a spare one as well in case you mess up cutting it to size. You've got a spare one to go at as well, which is a nice feature. A lot of kits do it from different manufacturers. You get a spare windscreen just in case, but always handy to have. But yeah, very, very simple. As I say, all I'll do is clean the flash off it, give it a wash, paint it, paint the interior units, and then you glue the interior units in. They just slot in, preferably straight. But yeah, this is how it comes in the box for transit, with the interior units already inside it. But obviously you drop them out to paint them and things. You put them back in, just put a bit of glue on to hold them in place, and then when you've done all that, put the glazing in, etc., and then you wheels and all that kind of thing. I did mention there's a slight issue with PSG Models kits, and that is this. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the axle is a thinner diameter than the hole on the back of the wheel that it goes into, which means that you can't just glue the wheel onto the axle, because it won't retain. It's not sufficiently close to retain it. So I'll just lighten that up so you can kind of see what I mean. There are two solutions to that. What you can do is fill the hole on the back of the wheel with some filler, like milliput for example, wait for it to harden, and then drill a hole in that's the same size as the axle. The other thing you can do, which sounds really stupid, is bin the axle and the retainer and just use one of these, a cocktail stick. If you cut it off at the thick bit there, the thick part of it is actually the same diameter as the hole in the back of the wheel. So you can make a new axle out of a cocktail stick. The only problem is that the wheel won't turn if you do that. It's normally the cocktail stick's a little bit too broad. Actually, it might do. And instead of using the plastic axle retainers, what I do with that is put a bit of plastic card across the trough there, so it holds the axle in place. It's not an ideal solution. Obviously, if you're building the model with a view to selling it, it's not one you can use. So you're back to the other thing of trying to, as I say, put a bit of milliput in, let it harden, and then just drill a hole in that's the correct size for the axle. But it's only a minor irritation. It's quite easily got round by one of the methods I've described, and it's not really an issue. So we come to price. Now, I was a bit in two minds whether to do this review or not. I'm doing it at the end of January 2025, and as I'm doing it, the website for PSG Models has been taken down. It's not working anymore. It just comes up with you can buy this domain name. So I don't know if PSG have actually ceased trading. So I thought, well, there's no real point in doing a review of a model that you're not going to be able to buy. However, I thought I'd go ahead because there are still quite a few of them for sale on eBay. I think the proprietor of PSG is actually selling on eBay now directly, but other people sell them as well, so they do still come up, so you can get them. And the notes for this are relevant to any PSG Models kit, basically. They're all very much of a muchness, one-piece body shell, interior, glazing unit as I've described there, etc. So it's relevant to any of the range that you might come across. The price of them really is around £50–51, somewhere around that. I think, obviously, without the website being live, I can't tell you the actual price, but I believe, if I remember correctly, they were £46, plus about £5 postage and packing, which is not bad for a triaxle double-decker by any means. As I said, they're simple to build, so, you know, it's not a problem to do that. On eBay, I think the selling price is slightly higher, but the postage is lower, so it still comes out at about the same, about £51. You do get a set of instructions for them as well, just to make that clear. That comes in the box with the kit. So yeah, it is worth tracking one down. Possibly the PSG website will be back up again by the time I post this video. And but if it isn't, as I say, you will still be able to find them on eBay in an unbuilt condition for quite some time to come. I think people do tend to put them up quite regularly. And they are worth getting. They're simple to build. They make very nice models. I've done quite a few PSG ones in the past. So yeah, I would recommend getting one, and you get that satisfaction about building a kit. So as always, thank you for joining me. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.